The letter arrives not with fanfare, but with silence. No royal seal, no press conference. Just a line slipped into a terse announcement. Prince Andrew, Duke of York, will no longer use his title. Not renounced in Parliament, not revoked by law. Simply retired. Quietly. Deliberately. It is a moment steeped in centuries of precedent, yet oddly subdued, a decision born of modern pressures, whispered through the echoing corridors of a palace built on legacy. And as the title disappears from use, one question lingers in the air. Why this way? Before we dive in, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. It begins not in the grand rooms of Buckingham Palace, but in the shadow of scandal. For years, Prince Andrew's association with financier Jeffrey Epstein has cast a long pall over the House of Windsor. Legal settlements, public statements, and an interview now etched into media infamy, the prince's fall from grace has been both public and painful. In January 2022, amid mounting legal pressure and public scrutiny, Queen Elizabeth II made the rare and weighty decision to strip her son of his military affiliations and royal patronages. He was to face his civil lawsuit as a private citizen. Still, one title remained. The Duke of York, a centuries-old peerage, steeped in English military history and associated with both triumph and controversy. To hold the title is to stand in the lineage of royal blood and national symbolism. And for a time, Prince Andrew continued to bear it, even as his public life shrank. That chapter has now drawn to a quiet close. In October 2025, an official update emerged. Prince Andrew would no longer use his royal titles in any formal capacity, including the Duke of York. The title is not legally rescinded, but it will no longer appear beside his name in official functions or royal communications. He will not represent the crown. He will not speak as a duke. Reports from multiple outlets, including The Guardian, BBC, and Sky News, confirm the move was made in consultation with King Charles III, and that it reflects a final shift away from public royal duties. But what followed was not celebration nor ceremony, no official image, no televised address, not even a speech from the monarch, just silence and speculation. For a king committed to modernizing the monarchy, the choice of communication, or lack thereof, has become its own story. Royal commentators such as Valentine Lowe and Roya Nakig have suggested that the muted nature of the announcement was strategic, designed to minimize disruption, to let the story pass with minimal public blowback. But others, including some former palace aides, say the decision to avoid a direct statement from the king was a missed opportunity, one that could have reshaped public narrative and restored confidence in royal accountability. There is, after all, precedent for bold clarity. In 1936, King Edward VIII addressed the nation directly upon his abdication. In 1997, Queen Elizabeth broke protocol to address public grief over the death of Princess Diana. In both cases, the monarch's voice was a stabilizing force, the weight of the crown made audible. Not so this time. Instead, the decision was left to be interpreted through headlines and interviews with sources close to the palace. A page quietly turned rather than read aloud. What the public received was not a reckoning, but a retraction, silent and symbolic. Behind closed doors, insiders describe a scene of tension. According to the Times, Prince Andrew initially resisted relinquishing his title, reportedly believing that a return to public life was still possible. But with King Charles's reign under increasing scrutiny and polls showing declining public trust in the institution, the path forward narrowed. This is the paradox facing the modern monarchy: how to preserve centuries-old traditions while navigating the relentless demands of contemporary media. Every decision is a message, every silence a statement. And in the silence surrounding Prince Andrew's retreat, many have found only ambiguity. Constitutionally, this move raises further questions. A peerage like Duke of York can only be formally revoked through an act of Parliament or by the monarch under extremely rare conditions. No such act has taken place. The title exists, still, in law, if not in use. This creates a legal and symbolic limbo. On paper, Prince Andrew is still the Duke of York. In practice, the Crown now asks that he not use the name. It is a gesture not of removal, but of erasure. It is worth asking, why was this not done earlier, and why now? Multiple analysts point to the king's long-term vision of a slimmed-down monarchy, a concept he has hinted at since before ascending the throne. This vision prioritizes working royals, streamlined public engagements, and a more modern image. Within that framework, Prince Andrew's continued association with the title presented a risk, not only to public opinion, but to internal cohesion. A royal household divided, even quietly, cannot sustain the burden of history. And yet, history has not been erased. The title Duke of York holds heavy significance. It was once borne by the founder of New York City, by the brother of King George VI, who died in a tragic air crash during the Second World War, by warriors and traitors alike. To wear the name is to carry a chapter of British identity. Its quiet shelving now becomes a symbolic act, a rewriting not just of royal roles, but of royal memory. Not all agree with how the palace has handled it. Critics argue that a more transparent approach, an official address from King Charles, or a detailed royal statement, would have framed the moment as one of principle, not strategy. That it would have modeled accountability in a time when public trust is fragile. Instead, the announcement arrived through layers of interpretation: palace sources, embedded reporters, and indirect confirmations. It was as though the monarchy blinked, hoping the world might look away. And yet, it hasn't. In York itself, where the title once echoed through civic engagements and military events, reactions have been mixed. Local leaders have expressed discomfort that the title remains legally intact while no longer actively held. There are calls for clarity, for the Crown to either reclaim the title or redefine its usage. So far, Buckingham Palace has not responded. It is an absence that speaks volumes. Because behind the silence lies a deeper tension. What does it mean to be royal in the 21st century? Not simply by birth, but in duty, in image, in consequence. The monarchy survives not just through pageantry, but through public faith. Every decision, especially those tied to scandal, becomes a test of that faith. And the handling of Prince Andrew's title, though restrained, has ignited that test once again. It is not the removal itself that raises questions. It is the manner. No decree, no formal revocation, just a request and a retreat. For King Charles, the choice may reflect his desire for quiet stability, for distance from the noise that has surrounded his brother for years. But for others, it may appear a gesture too soft, too slow, too silent. History will render its verdict in time. Until then, we are left with an image, a royal title, centuries old, set aside in silence,
a press release that speaks in omission, and a monarch navigating the shadows of a family legacy still unfinished. What does it mean when a name fades from use, but not from record? And will the silence around it one day speak louder than the words ever could? Tell us what you think below.